A final chorus for Your Ears Only. I'm David Alpern.
I'm Katherine Herzog with this news quote. People in the Depression wanted something to cheer them up, and they fell in love with a dog, Rin Tin Tin, and a little girl. That was the girl herself, child star Shirley Temple. Rejected by Hollywood as she matured, later a successful political activist and diplomat. She died last week at the age of 85. Also last week, 1950s TV comedy king, or Caesar, Sid Caesar. He was later handicapped by self-doubt and addiction. He died at age 91. Now this.
It's very clear how love.
Here, I got another good one. Well, I'm a good photographer.
Together we're going a long, long way.
Singers at noisy restaurants and piano bars soon get used to divided attention or get out of the game. Yves Garcia has been in the game around New York for some years now, but recently caught the eye and ear of some more prominent performers who helped get him into venues where audiences pay closer attention. Town Hall, Jazz at Lincoln Center, and currently the Laurie Beechman Theater on 42nd Street for a string of monthly music making he calls one-night standards on February 1st, March 1st, and April 5th at 8 p.m.
Late last week, the sudden cancellation by another performer at the storied Cafe Carlyle in Manhattan also put Garcia on the main stage spotlight there. To talk about it all, his approach to music and parallel acting career, for Your Ears Only, Yves Garcia is on the line now. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Your biography says you were born in Red Bank, New Jersey, and began playing piano at age 7. But when and how did you realize you could actually make a living as a performer?
Well, living is a relative term, but I will say, I think fresh out of college, I was making a lot of rounds auditioning during the day, open calls and things, and I found that people would pay me to play the piano in bars and restaurants and parties and things, and it was creative. Getting paid to be creative was appealing, so I started doing that, and that's kind of how it began.
Given your obvious youth, what attracted you to the music of earlier generations? Gershwin and Porter, Rodgers and Hart, Harold Arlen, Johnny Mercer.
In a sense, they made sense to me. There's something about there's plenty to play with there. To sort of you can play with the chords, and the lyrics are so full. They tend to have a sort of dramatic arc to them, and you end somewhere different than where you began. There's just They're meaty songs. There's just a great deal of material there, and it's very rewarding.
You had a great line at the Cabaret Convention. You called it music you can bend without breaking. Outside the major venues, how do you deal with noisy diners and raucous drinkers when you're performing?
I have to say, in a sense, it's sort of selfish to be selfless in a kind of strange way, because I find I go inwards and I play to sort of challenge and please myself when the room is particularly boisterous. And then I find that when I do that, there's typically, if you look up again a little while later, you see people who are with you, even though it's noisy. So it's just a balance. You alter it, I guess.
On your website, you have a piano bar singer's smart answers to requests for sex advice. Do you actually get a lot of personal questions, even propositions?
Yes, is the honest answer, I suppose. Propositions, let's see, last week I got my first ever marriage proposal on a cocktail napkin. It was touching, actually. But otherwise, sometimes people throw notes into the money jar or other sort of strange things. People are very forthcoming with, much more often is that they tell you about themselves. I guess songs are almost kind of like emotional triggers. They want to feel a certain way, and then they just divulge.
You've been compared favorably to the late king of the Cafe Carlyle, Bobby Short. So how did your show go over there?
We had a wonderful time. The crowd was very responsive, and we gave them the best, most fun, brightest Valentine show we could give them, and they kind of liked the narrative that we were just winging it, and we had a wonderful time. It was a thrill. It's kind of the Mount Olympus of cabaret rooms. It was wonderful.
After playing major clubs and stages, is it harder to go back to being more in the background at restaurants and piano bars?
No, because it's the best kind of training. It's essentially you get paid to practice. I hate to put it quite that way. I know that's terrible, and I may be getting some glares from people I work for, I suppose. But you try things out and just refine things, and then can try them out on a crowd that's really listening to you at a later time.
You also trained in theater at Fordham University, and I'm wondering whether the acting background helps in the singing or even vice versa.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I should find that that's true. With the One Night Standard show, I made certain that there were about half the songs I do standing at the mic. I'm backed up by Tony Romano on guitar and Rit Hen on bass, and they back me up musically, and I'm freed up from the keys, and it really permits you to in a sense monologue the song and to give it a kind of beginning, middle, and an end, and present a kind of enclosed mini narrative within the 3 to 5 minutes of a 32-bar standard song. And a theater department training really did help.
Yves Garcia's One Night Standard show returns to the Laurie Beechman Theater, 407 West 42nd Street, March 1st and April 5th at 8 p.m., and other venues. Keep track of him on YouTube and at his website, Yves, that's Yves, Garcia.com.
No, baby, I just can't get started. No, I can't get started with you.
Garcia at the Town Hall tribute to Bobby Short and Mabel Mercer. And this has been For Your Ears Only.